Odebrecht was one of the biggest construction conglomerates in Latin America until 2015. The company specializes in multiple sectors of the construction industry, such as engineering, infrastructure, construction, petrochemical, sugar energy, real estate, oil and gas, and mobility. It had presence in 21 countries around the world, having the grand majority in Latin America. In 2010, when the construction enterprise was at its best condition, it counted with at least 181,000 employees and several new projects ahead for different governments. Nonetheless, if we go forward to 2015, things started to fall apart when the company was suspected and finally investigated for corruption. Soon after, one of the biggest corruption scandals the continent has witnessed was unleashed. So, how did this happen? Odebrecht is a Brazilian corporation created in 1944 by its founder Norberto Odebrecht. Norberto was born in Brazil but had German origins, which explain the name of the company. They started growing rapidly in their country, becoming one of the major construction companies in the 1970s. This boosted their motivation to start to expand to other countries in 1979. The enterprise was characterized by their efficiency and rapidity to finish projects. For instance, operations that were expected to end in 2 to 3 years will be finished at the end of the first year. This was a huge incentive for countries to hire them in large public projects. Moreover, the company representatives have expressed other characteristics such as innovation that for them have contributed to their growth. Odebrecht offers multiple products to their clients, all of them related to construction. Some of them are the hydroelectric power plants, bridges, theaters, and railroads. Even though many of their projects are similar to each other in different markets, the company tries to respond to each country's necessities when doing a project. That is why it is considered a transnational company, which expands itself strategically to new and closed markets using turnkey projects and acquisition as their main strategies.
But what is a turnkey project or an operation project? This term makes reference to construction projects in which the developer, in our case Odebrecht, undertakes the whole responsibility from design to details so that the construction is available to the buyer in a ready-to-use condition. This is often practiced by governments for public projects, and it is usual as well in the pharmaceutical and chemical industry. This mode of entry brings lots of advantages for the buyers, considering that the whole responsibility of the project goes to the builder until it is totally finished, which means risks are minimum. On the other hand, the builder feels motivation to do the job knowing that there is a payment at the end. Furthermore, these projects bring the expertise of professional construction companies. On the less pretty side, the turnkey projects does not give any authority to the buyer, so projects could end in a way they do not like. Besides that, some corporations do not comply with the time stipulated in the contracts and the construction takes longer than expected. Brecht has used this method to enter many countries, in between them Colombia. Chosen as the winner for a construction contract, their first project here was the Loma Santa Marta Railroad in 1992. From that moment on, Odebrecht has made numerous constructions in the country.
But before arriving to Colombia, Odebrecht started its internationalization in 1979. After conquering projects all over Brazil and having more than 500 projects under name, Odebrecht began to expand doing construction projects in Peru and Chile. Then, in 1984, they did their first project in Angola, building the Capanda hydroelectric power plant. This way, they were able to start projects in many other countries. In 1985, the group projects abroad represented about 30% of all of their contracts. They continue expanding around South America, entering to Argentina and Ecuador in 1987, and then to United States in 1991, always using Operation Project as their main strategy.
Another of its strategies, as mentioned before, is acquisition. Odebrecht would buy other companies in different sectors to expand their portfolio and used as a way to enter other markets. For example, in 1988, they acquired a construction company in Portugal to start operation there, and in 1991 they acquired SLP Engineering in England, that specializes in oil platform construction. But to talk about its decline, we will focus on the turnkey projects and how they got them that made them questionable to many investigators.
For years, Odebrecht has been the most important construction company in Latin America due to the amount of important infrastructure projects it has built, like the Caracas Metro, a port in Cuba, and many of the infrastructure of the World Cup in Brazil in 2014. In June of 2015, the Brazilian police arrested Marcelo Odebrecht, found guilty of the payment of more than $30 million in bribes to Petrobras functionaries in exchange for contracts and influence. Then, in 2016, Odebrecht signed the world's largest leniency deal with the US and Swiss authorities, in which it confessed to corruption and paid a $2.6 billion fine. A lot of company executives signed deals with the Brazilian authorities confessing crimes in several countries in exchange for shorter sentences. Since then, an international task force of investigators is looking for linked corruption cases in 10 countries, one of them being Colombia. In August 2019, an arbitration court sanctioned Colombia to pay $61 million to the banks that were involved in a project between the Colombian government and Odebrecht. This project was cancelled because of a corruption case in the company in the education process of the contract. Investigations show that Odebrecht paid nearly $30 million through its subsidiaries in order to ensure the education of a highway with a cost of more than $1,000 million. The money that the state paid went to banks involved in the project financiation but they were not linked with the corruption case. These banks were Itaú, Bancolombia, Davivienda, Banco de Occidente, Grupo Aval, Banco Popular, and Banco Ave Villas. Colombia cancelled the contract with Odebrecht and asked the company oversight entirely to disqualify the company with a 20-year ban to do business with the state. Just as this one, Odebrecht has left many projects unfinished in other countries, which have caused losses to both parties, the governments and the company itself. Odebrecht should have played fairly when trying to obtain contracts. They were a big company that the public already had trust on and could have gotten those projects without the bribery.